like talking about past lives, what is there a difference between, let's just say, when we're in this life that we're in now and we have a rebirth in the current life, is the one before the rebirth a past life, or is a past life more so before this world we're in today? And it's the before that generationally. Like, what could
Yeah,
you break that down for us, please?
yeah, that's a good question. It's before this human experience. So when we are having like an ego death or a shift, or it feels like a timeline change, or a dramatic shift, and you're kind of like, hang on a minute, what's going on? Because things are so different. No, I believe that that's not considered in my view. It's not a past life. It's just previous to our birth. And we don't always. It's a it's a difficult concept to kind of get your head around, and some people will be a bit skeptical to it. But the more you kind of dive into it, the more you realize that there are certain habits and fears and phobias and all these things that we have that are heavily influenced by those previous lives.
It makes so much sense because sometimes we'll be doing things on autopilot, but we don't even know why we had those habits in the first place. We're just doing them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, why do we have an irrational fear of snakes or something? It's like,
Yeah.
where do these things come from? But I think the most important thing is the contracts that we have with people, and why we are, why we meet certain people, because everyone has a very important role to play.
Yeah, I believe everything that happens on a day to day, especially seeing other people, interact with them for a purpose. There's something deeper than just, oh, I just saw Johnny down the street. I feel
Yeah.
like every little thing, whether it's the tiniest little scent of purpose, but I feel like everything has something that's going to align us to push us in a direction, either backwards or forwards, just whatever we choose to do.
Yeah, definitely. And there is fate, but there is also free will. So we can alter our experience. And most of the time we're repeating the same stories.
Yeah, yeah.
And we don't realize. We're like, oh, okay, this has happened like 29 times. Yep. The same, and then often even the same people will come into our story until we are here to like break the cycle, which I see a lot in the collective right now and since COVID, of this sense of changing the direction that we take, or perhaps releasing people from our lives, and yeah, just doing things that we really want to do, because that's part of that, the consciousness kind of rising,
Yeah.
and people waking up. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the one good thing that came from COVID was that I feel like there was a massive spiritual awakening that came out the other side of it. And
Yeah.
like a lot of people in my circle or in my life that were never, I wouldn't say they were never, but they never expressed to me, more should I say, that they were more insightful or thinking more deeply on a conscious level or spiritual level. But since that situation happened, it feels like there's a massive awakening happening right now, which is leading me to my question around the blueprint you're talking about. And with the blueprint, is there something that you also share with your children? Because you believe that we should be learning about these things as early as possible? Because I know a lot of people get to like a certain age, they have a midlife crisis, or they get to a certain age, they have an identity crisis. Do you believe this is something that we should be taught at a young age?
Definitely. And I think that was part of my initial mission, because I'm a teen, so I teach teens. And straight away I was like, I needed this when I was a teenager. Like, where where was the person that was, going to mentor me? Why did I have to wake up at like, 33? Yes, I think it is very, very critical, but how we actually do that is going to be challenging. But everyone is seeking, kind of a blueprint or a map to understand yourself. So yeah, we should be teaching these tools to young people, to even younger than teens.
Mm.
So I do teach some mums about how you can kind of interact with your children, and strengths and weaknesses, and how you can really help through your communication. Highly important as a parent. And because sometimes there'll be particular placements. Like I know my son, he has like Sagittarius and Aries. They just want to do what they want to do. So there's really no point in pushing things too much or creating some too much structure, for example. So I'll give him two options. I'll say, would you like to wear this or this? And he feels like he's a little bit in control, that he's making that choice. And I feel like it's very helpful for me as a parent. So yes, like as young as possible, but I suppose you could start by sharing with parents and they teach their own children. But I can't really see it how the school system would integrate it into their curriculum or whatever.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's important for the parents, for the ones to understand this. And that just made me really interested as well, because I'm not a father yet. I would love to be one day. It's a big goal of mine. So one thing I am on the journey of at the moment is just collecting tools and information so I can be the best parent I can be when that moment arises. And what you said just there was that it's good for the people or the young people in general to understand themselves and their identity, but it's just as important for the parents to understand who their young person is or their child is at the core as well, so they know their child's needs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you're actually getting to young people before they have too much conditioning or heavy life situations that can sometimes weigh them down, because we do have a mold that we kind of want kids to be in the school system. So what about accepting everyone's differences? And so like the astrological blueprint does that. It shows us, okay, this is a unique, unique person, and there's no one else like me, and that's okay.
100%. That's great, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And because there's so much more to it. And I actually have spoken a lot to my students in the past about they're always so fascinated about it, because it's learning about themselves. Yeah. I mean, of course, teens are very egotistical and they love to learn about themselves, but how can we actually, I suppose, help them to follow their path or their sole purpose from a younger age? It's a really good topic.
I currently at the moment go to schools and run groups and programs and teach like teenagers at high schools. And when I show them breath work and meditation, there is a stigma there. There is a big misconception. Like I understand because I was a teenager once, and if someone told me breath work at that time, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But there is like that massive misconception around meditation and breath work. And do you feel like around astrology as well, there is any misconceptions or misinterpretations of what it is?
Yes, definitely. And this is what's, I suppose, really frustrating, I suppose, because it is essentially a profiling tool. And we can talk about personality tests and, do other things, like they often do tests in year 10 to help them for career choices, for example. But yes, this is a perfect opportunity to really go deeper than those kind of personality tests. And I that's how I began, is doing teen workshops too. So there's another synchronicity between us. Funny, I laugh, but obviously it's not coincidental.
No, not at all. Not after the Celestine prophecy. That's for
sure. I know.